Good evening, it's 10 bells, that means it's time for another Brews at 10, here on my left eye. Welcome everyone, I'm your host Lefty, and just one day to go to the election. That's going to be the bulk of what I'm going to be talking about. Might get slightly ranty, who knows. But thanks for being here with me this evening. Hope you got a cup of solidarity. Yeah, so I'm going to be throwing a few predictions out there. After we've taken a look at some news stories as the parties start to wrap up the campaigns, it's the big polling day tomorrow. A lot of people have already voted by post, of course. And yeah, we'll be finding out how many of the predictions, expectations, and so on are going to come to pass. But first things first, please do hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button as well. Just helps this broadcast reach more people. And also when you subscribe, you can join in the chat just a minute later. So please do that, as well as share us around your social media if you can. And there is going to be a special live stream, well, a three-parter actually, tomorrow night. I hope you'll be able to join me. The first part will be around the time the exit poll comes out, which is normally a pretty good indicator of which way it's going to go. And then as the results start to come in later on, we'll have parts 2 and then 3, just a bit of a break between those. It's going to be a marathon live stream session tomorrow night, so you're all very welcome to join me here on my left eye. And we'll find out what's going to happen. So yeah, first of all, we'll have a bit of a comedy clip, and then we'll go through some stories, articles, other clips and snippets from what's been going on the last time we were together on a live stream. Hope you've all been okay. Let us know how you're doing in the chat. So the one I've got lined up is the latest from Larry and Paul. I've had on a few times before. And it's about an old Tory MP defecting to the Reform Party. I've actually seen that in just the last couple of days as well, actually. Someone, it's the other way around though, someone's defected from Reform to the Tories. And it was all over. The candidate's been caught using awful racial slurs. Right, here we go then.
Neil, do sit down, would you?
I already have, sir.
Yes, so you are my closest advisor. I'm going to need you to advise me.
Go on.
Yes, so I'm thinking now might be the time to change party, and I'm quite liking the look of these Reform chaps.
Reform. Nigel Farage's lot.
Yeah.
Richard Tice's lot.
Who? Never heard of him. But yes, Reform. What do you think?
Well, you know what they say about Reform.
No?
That it's the natural home for racists,
Go on.
bigots,
Yeah.
and xenophobes.
Well, yes, that's why I like them, Neil. What's your point?
I'm just telling you what they say.
And who is there?
Everyone but the racists, bigots, and xenophobes, sir.
Yes, well, Who knows? You could be in character right now, being paid for by Channel 4 or a production company or whoever.
I could, yeah, but I have been your advisor for 15...
Well, I mean, you might be an actor. Not a very good one, though, is he?
Cheers.
Mind you, there are so few good actors out these days, they've all gone woke. Oh, apart from that lovely chap from Morse.
Lawrence Fox.
No, Morse.
John Thor.
No, Morse. You know, Morse. Do I mean Morse? Policeman. Recovering alcoholic. Failed marriage.
Recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
Difficult divorce.
Yeah.
Rebus.
No.
Cracker.
No.
Luther.
No.
David Jason from A Touch of Frost.
No. Hangs around the Channel Islands.
Bergerac.
Neil. A glass of wine at this hour? Do you have a problem?
No, the detective, Jim Bergerac.
No. Maybe thinking about it. Maybe he wasn't a policeman after all. Presented a big break with John Virgo.
Jim Davidson.
Yes, that's him. Anyway, enough of this talk. Look, can you set me up a meeting with Nigel Farage?
Yeah, you might have to go to Clacton.
What is and where is a Clacton?
It's a coastal town.
Oh, lovely, like Salcombe. One of my favourite things to do in Salcombe is to go down to the harbour, get on each boat individually and turn on the ignition, starting the boats. Yeah, I do love all the boats.
Yeah, well, you will have to pretend to hate all the boats from now on.
No, fair enough.
And you'll have to get up to speed on Reform's manifesto.
Well, what's in it?
Just 107 pages about immigration.
Bloody immigrants.
Have you ever seen one?
No, not in my leafy constituency of Lower Bishop's Swansford. Now you come to mention it, the queues at the local hospital have never been longer. How do you explain that?
Well, your lot closed it down 5 years ago, apart from anything else.
Well, exactly. Why did you do that?
Couldn't get the staff.
Bloody immigrants coming over here, not taking our jobs.
So, Reform's main policies appear to be making people starve to death if they refuse a job offer,
Good.
stopping anybody marching in support of things that Reform doesn't like Palestine,
Still on board, yes?
and proportional representation.
Oh, no. That crosses a line.
Also, you know Reform have been a bit controversial recently. A few of their chaps being caught being a bit unpleasant.
Yes, I liked how they handled that.
Oh, really?
Yes, tell everyone that the bad guys have been expelled from the party, and then tell everyone it's too late to stop them standing for the party, and then tell everyone that they should vote for them anyway. It's a textbook political move, Neil. It makes it look like you've done something, when in fact you've done absolutely nothing at all.
Sir Edwin, it will look like you're making a snap decision because your own party is utterly buggered and facing the sort of total annihilation that hasn't been seen in this country for 2 centuries. Switching to a far-right party that has no real policies and whose fascist rhetoric appeals to a tiny minority of disenfranchised voters who have been repeatedly let down by the greed of establishment Britain.
Neil! That's exactly what I'm doing.
I'll call Nigel now.
Good boy. Stop the boats!
Yep. Stop the boats.
Yeah, really great stuff from Larry and Paul there. Check out their content if you don't do so already. And we see defections all over the place. It's parody imitating reality, imitating parody at this point. Mithril, thanks a lot for jumping in the chat. It's great to see you back again. Welcome to the live stream. Used to work in a golf hotel where one of the regulars sounded like this. What, like the Tory defector in the Larry and Paul clip? Wow. And yeah, let us know what you're hoping for tomorrow night. Well, I guess it'll technically be the early hours of Friday morning. When we get the final results, but that's going to be a marathon stream tomorrow. let us know your expectations. I'm going to be dipping into mine shortly, including the hot seats. Right, okay. Where am I going to head first? No. Got a rough order lined up. Okay. Yeah. I'll stick with something positive now. Something positive. And it does tie in with the hot seats as well. And it's the latest, I believe it's the latest campaign video from one of the hot seats, a candidate by the name of Jeremy Corbyn, who's standing as an independent in North Islington, or Islington North. And obviously it's the first time he's stood as an independent, but he's offered the Labour candidate the chance to debate him and been completely ignored. It looks as though Labour are running scared from having to confront Jeremy Corbyn face to face, live, in front of an audience, possibly on television. That'd be interesting, actually, if he did get a proper chance to do that as an independent. Meathrill's hoping for 10 Green MPs. I would put it past him. And, well, nicely reminded, actually, Meathrill. Something else I'm going to be talking about later. I've drawn up the final shortlist of the 5 seats that I expect the Greens to get. I would love them to get 10 or more. And that's part of the early predictions that I did, but I've stuck with that. I've considered extending it to 10, to be honest, but I think these 5 are pretty safe. We'll see if they can add to that. I'd love for them to add to that. I dare say there will be 1 or 2, possibly more, hopefully dozens, hundreds, but that would be fantastic in the literal sense. But no, more realistically, probably going to throw up at least a dozen or so surprises. Who knows? Find out tomorrow night here on My Left Eye. Join us on the 3-parter general election live stream. So let's see Corbyn's campaign vid, as I was saying. Just another reminder, Paul Mason didn't cut the mustard when it came to getting selected and parachuted in as a candidate. He was hoping so. Can't remember how many seats he's been vying for to try and stand for the Labour Party since he, God knows. God knows what happened to him, but that would have been entertaining, because I am expecting Corbyn to win. To see Paul Mason looking disappointed in the background, so it'll just be a different Labour candidate. Jeremy's going to explain how he feels about that candidate not even having the guts to debate him.
This is my 11th general election, but the first one in which an opponent from a main party has refused to debate with me. The Labour candidate in Islington North has ducked every single hustings debate in this campaign. So, on Monday, I wrote to him requesting a public debate at a time and a place of his choosing. He has not replied. Public debate is what an election is all about. Voters deserve to know who they're voting for. I'm not surprised that local people have expressed concerns that the Labour candidate is dodging scrutiny of the enormous profits he has made from his private health businesses. Money that could have gone to frontline care in our National Health Service. The Labour candidate has said he believes, and I quote, that the privatisation of healthcare is very, very important.
Privatisation of healthcare is very, very important.
I say that the privatisation of healthcare is wrong, expensive and damaging to our NHS. I say that we need a universal, publicly owned NHS that is free for all. The Labour candidates' private healthcare companies have made millions of pounds of profit, including out of the NHS in our area. One company...
Well, this is a developing story as well, of course, that he's been embroiled in this corruption, and nothing certainly gets past Corbyn. He's going to go into it in a bit more detail here. But if Labour do get over the line in this election, you can expect a lot more of this to come. The only thing that will change will be the faces in the House of Commons and on the interviews. The same things will be coming out of their mouths. They've got the same policies, the same ideology. They're already making the same kind of excuses and painting themselves into a corner, as the Tories do in this campaign. So this is no surprise to me, as I'm sure it isn't to many of you listeners and viewers. Ogham the Bold and one of Loki's, welcome to the chat as well. Hope you're great this evening. Thumbs up to you too. Hope you're enjoying a cup of solidarity. I'm going to be overusing that pun a bit too much in the next 24 hours or so. But, right, yeah, so let's get into these revelations of corruption from the Labour candidate in Islington North.
alone reported nearly £17 million in profits in recently published accounts. I say you are not supporting our NHS if you're taking money out of our NHS. You're not supporting healthcare, you are making money out of the misery and problems that people face. People in Islington North do not support healthcare privatisation or profiteering from health contracts within our NHS. We want an NHS run by and for the public, not for the profits of multimillionaires. No.
And of course, Wes Streeting, should he become Health Secretary, isn't going to be taking the NHS in the direction it should be going. In fact, he's going to be dragging it down into the doldrums even further. Also, while we're on the subject of Wesley, that is Wesley Streeting, of course. He's been sort of dragged into this, controversy, shall we say. There's been a clip that is apparently a fake of him going round with someone approaching him, trying to have a conversation with him on the campaign trail, and Wesley apparently in the clip telling him to F off. Now it's been circulated that it is actually a fake. I've seen a couple of accounts that claim to be the person who made the recording. It's just an audio recording. But have you heard about this? Again, I can't confirm or deny whether it's real or not, but he tells him to F off. And the guy who's doing the interview brings up Palestine and asks why Wes Streeting waited until so many people had been killed before he changed his mind on a ceasefire. If you're familiar with it, it's been going around social media for the last couple of days, but just wanted to bring that up. Of course, Ilford North as well. We could see a big challenge being put forward to Streeting himself. Right, let's just hear some more from Jeremy.
No wonder the imposed Labour candidate doesn't want his view or his profits from private healthcare contracts held up to public scrutiny. Those seeking public office should treat the people they want to represent with honesty, openness and respect. Listening to people, taking their questions and being held accountable is what being an MP is all about. It's been an honour to represent the people of Islington North and to stand up for a fully public NHS. With your support, that is what I will continue to do. So let's make history. Vote independent in Islington North.
Certainly hope people do, and he has received a large amount of support. He's also been shown a great amount of solidarity with over 70 Labour CLP members, including 12 NEC members, having resigned over this issue of the way that Corbyn's been treated. And he's also had a great amount of volunteer support from the public. He's been the MP there since the 1980s. We've shown how he's really, you know, held in such a high regard by his constituents. And I've shown a couple of clips of the things that they've had to say about him on previous live streams. So, yeah, you're right, Mithril. He really does nail it every damn time. This is the thing this time around. There was real hope for proper change, not just the sleeves rolled up bullshit from Keir Starmer. But there was real hope last time around, and every time he came on the TV, or, you know, there was a clip going round, I always made the time to listen to it, because he was spot on back then, and remains to be now. And yeah, this time around it's just a case of how much of a voice can real socialists get in Parliament with grassroots parties, independent candidates and the Greens. Now, to show as well, I guess this really ties in with how much the party has changed, not in the way that Starmer's trying to imply, and this fake picture he's trying to paint for everyone, with the mainstream media lapping it up, of course. But I won't get into that too much. Officially today, that rag known as the Sun officially endorsed the Labour Party. And Starmer's delighted. Old Keith's delighted. And so's Wesley. And this is very, very far from the state that the Labour Party were in 5 years ago. Obviously, under Corbyn, well, he wouldn't get an endorsement from the Sun anyway, because people like Rupert Murdoch are people who would have to pay a fair share of tax under, well, just specifically referring to the 2017 and 2019 manifestos anyway. But yeah, there's no way in a month of Sundays that you'd see Corbyn in bed with the likes of Rupert Murdoch. Absolutely not. And to see their actual satisfaction in this, that is Starmer and Streeting, is appalling. But let's take a look back at what Starmer had to say when he was vying to become leader of the Labour Party. This is in 2020, of course. I've got a bookmark lined up. Just bear with while I get that. And now today he's leaping in the air and, you know, punching his fist at the fact that Murdoch has backed him with the Sun newspaper. And the mainstream media say that Murdoch always backs winners, as though he's some sort of horse racing expert or something, I don't know. Oh, it's definitely going to damage Mithril. It's definitely going to damage Labour in Merseyside, absolutely. I think there's going to be mass exodus. We've seen that since Starmer came in, of course. I'm also reminded of the mayoral election where they parachuted in a candidate and Anne Rothery, who was the previous winner, was removed, deselected, and they parachuted in, you know, another neoliberal right-wing Starmerite. We're going to see a lot more of that. That's one of the reasons areas like Birkenhead are on the hot seats, with the Greens looking set to win, just possibly by a short distance, but they do look set to win there in Birkenhead. Labour's, of course, Liverpool is, of course, and Merseyside in general, a great has a great history of socialism, of solidarity with unions, of protest, as does a lot of the north of England. Right, okay, I've got that queued up. And we'll see what the initial response from Liverpool's been, actually, just quickly. So he's delighted to have the backing of the Sun, and there's a post from Newham Independents. Do check them out at Newham Ind Party if you're on Twitter. So they will never forget, they will never forgive. And there's been quite a response to this. Yeah, he sold his soul to Murdoch and others. You've got a cartoon illustration there from Ben Jennings in The Guardian with the bewinged Rupert Murdoch bellowing from a rolled up copy of The Sun. He's got a toilet seat for a halo and he's spilling out the toilet bowl, which is of course full of diuretic bilge, as is the publication, onto the masses below. That's the best, you know, it's a good interpretation. It's a good metaphor, good visual metaphor for what it actually does. And that's a good one there. Who's that from? Who shared that? Yeah, EQ2 now. I hope the good people of Liverpool and Merseyside do the right thing tomorrow. Vote independence, vote for Joe Bird. Of course, I believe I've had a clip from Joe Bird on one of the streams before. Although, yeah, the night will be long tomorrow. That's one of the things I'll be keeping an eye on. Yeah. Few people are saying they'll still vote Labour. I doubt that. I doubt that. The response has not been great. This is what Wesley threw his hat in the ring with over this one. Bloody Wesley. Just check that's lined up right. Yeah. The sun is shining on Labour, he says. God, what a shithouse. Street in such a shithouse. It's time for change. And that was what was on the front of the Sun. Ha ha ha, they're not talking about football. And so straight away reminded them of the absolute vile lies that they put out at the time of the Hillsborough disaster. And that's been a tragic case for so many reasons. It's gone on for decades. There have been cover-ups, buried evidence, etc. And real justice still hasn't been done, although there have been some developments lately, but the people of Liverpool certainly don't forgive, and they certainly don't forget that. I know that for sure. I know a lot of socialists from Liverpool and around Liverpool. So that was, oh, that's the so that's the recording that I was talking about. When it says it's got the warning there, it was created with AI and comes from accounts related to that BBC investigation. So at the moment, it does look like it is a fake. I mean, Wes Streeting is an absolute dickhead, of course, but I don't think he'd be dumb enough to say something like that when he knew it was being recorded. There's a bit in it where apparently, allegedly, Wes Streeting says, "Are you recording?" And the guy, it's just audio only, says, "Oh no, I'm just holding my phone." But maybe that comes into the scripting of it to try and make the listener think that Wes thought he wasn't actually being recorded. Who knows? Who knows? Oh, that's Max Rose-Pierre's channel there as well. I know a few people who follow his stuff as well. Liverpool says no to the scum. Daily Politic. Another great source of content there on social media, if you want to check them out. Just simply put the vomiting emoji, which pretty much sums it up for me, as does this picture with Murdoch holding the strings. Although fewer and fewer people actually read print media these days. Yes, they have moved to online, but fewer and fewer people get the news online now from the old, old school paper outlets. A lot of people are turning to alternative sources now. Well, I guess you can count me in that, but obviously not the same amount of people as other content providers, of course. Octo Mimic, very warm welcome to you on the chat. What have you missed? We were just going over how Starmer has been, Labour been endorsed by the Sun, and just a bit of reaction to that. Now, it's a far cry from Starmer back in 2020. Let's have a look at that now, actually. What he actually said back in day.
This
I
is
think
my
I've got a clip.
11th general election.
That's Jeremy again.
But the first one.
And okay, back when he was trying to become leader, this was in Liverpool. He was campaigning in Liverpool. And it's just, sorry, it just dawns on me every now and then how far they've come and how it's just awful Starmer has been for this party.
Well, look, the attacks on Jeremy Corbyn in that election we've just had were terrible. And they came back at us on the doors. They vilified him, and they knew what they were doing, and they knew why they were doing it. And they do it to every Labour leader, and they know why.
Yes, you can believe your eyes. He actually said this. If, there's no way. There's absolutely no way he'd say anything to this effect in front of an audience or on television, or even in private anyway, because, behind closed doors. He always had it in for Corbyn. He's just interested in his own career. But sometimes you can't believe that this is the same person, but it is. And this was his thing all along.
They're doing it. Now, we've just lost the election, so we better prepare for the next one. And it's going to happen again, and it needs to change. We need to cut through that. This city has been wounded by the media. The Sun in this city, a hurt for this city. And I certainly won't be giving any interviews to the Sun during the course of this campaign.
But there were other campaigns to come, weren't there, Keith? Yes, indeed there were. And here we are. Here we are. Almost 5 years later. He's been endorsed by the Sun in the most recent campaign. The veil is truly lifted now. And if he said the sort of things that he says on Kussenberg or whoever he's talking to, Nick Ferrari, et al., if he said what he says recently, back then in 2020 when he was on that stage trying to get the votes of Labour members, then there's no way he would have won. They would have chased him out the room. And rightly so. And this is the guy who could be Prime Minister in around, what, under 30 hours' time now. That's probably when it will all be done and dusted. But the polls open tomorrow morning. The exit poll will be at 10. I'll be live probably about 9:45, just to get slightly warmed up before the exit poll. I'm going to talk about the result of that exit poll as well for a while, obviously, and then there will be a break, and then I'll be back on as soon as the results start to come in. You're quite right in the comments. He is full of lies. Turns his coat. He is a turncoat. He's a turncoat. He's a traitor to the party. He's an absolute traitor to the party. And he is no socialist, that's for sure. And he sold his soul to the devil, as Octomimic is saying there as well. Mithril, thanks a lot for being with us for 3 months now with your membership. It's great to have you with us. Always nice to see you on the streams. And we do bump into each other on the No Justice live stream, of course, every now and then. It's always a pleasure to see you there as well. Yeah, those of you who are listening live on a replay, whatever, do check out the No Justice channel as well. Another thanks, Eleanor, if you're listening for that raiding the other day. I did have my settings to membership only, unfortunately, but always a great show of solidarity there from No Justice. Fantastic content. As well as Kevin Logan, who appears often with Helena. Do check his stuff out as well. Okay, so will Murdoch actually be right, and will he have called it? We have had a hung parliament before. You know, he's not got it quite right every time because there have been hung parliaments before. Yes, he backed the party who eventually crawled over the line by bribing the DUP with £1 billion, but it wouldn't be unprecedented, shall we say. So that, as well, just quickly referring back to that Wes Streeting clip that does appear to be a fake. This one isn't a fake of Labour shadow frontbencher being approached in public on the campaign trail, and you can expect more deviation and deflection, but you can also expect just straight up running away from the question itself. We had the hiding in a fridge moment at the last election, of course, with Johnson, but this time round Rachel Reeves was confronted on climate from someone from Green New Deal Rising, and asked about why Labour have been, well, to be frank, absolutely piss poor on the matter of climate and environment. So Reeves, obviously being the capitalist that she is, didn't really want to have any of it, didn't even address it at all. So this is what happened there.
Young person with Green is your right.
We're literally just about
I
to
know,
do
but I
the
just
same
have a question
program.
from young people to ask why you're letting us down so badly on our climate and your climate commitments. Excuse me. You dropped your 28 billion tax. You're refusing to tax wealth. You're refusing to invest in our communities. Rachel, please, you barely speak to young people. You never talk to us. The issues we care about. Rachel, please. Please, no, that's fine. I can speak to her on her way. Rachel, young people are desperate. Climate scientists are telling us it's a code red for humanity. But you've backed away from £28 billion of climate investment. You refuse to tax the super rich. You're refusing to invest in our communities. And now you're walking away. You're walking away from a 23-year-old who is desperate. A 23-year-old who is desperate for a future that it seems like you are refusing to give us. You're not gonna respond. You're not gonna tax.
And I think this is very typical of the hubris that we're seeing. Anyone who really thought that they had to campaign for every vote would just at least say a brief few words. And especially on the issue of climate, I'm sure if someone approached Carla Denyer or Adrian Ramsey out on the campaign trail, a young person as well, who's concerned about their future, also concerned about why corporations aren't paying the right amount of tax, I mean, punished for the pollution, the CO2, the global temperature rises, and they'd at least have a few words to say. But Labour are going to be so flat on climate that she just literally doesn't want to address it at all. I did see, I think it was on the Beeb earlier, some of Starmer's closing statements. I think he ended his campaign somewhere in the Midlands today. And he said that in a lot of places it's going to go down to just a few hundred votes. And yeah, there are a lot of swing seats, as they say. But if you really thought you had to fight for every vote, and on an issue like climate, you can at least say something that's going to appease someone. And this isn't harassment. This isn't a protest or anything. You know, there's no milkshake being lobbed around or anything like that. It's just a straight up question from a concerned citizen. And I can't say for sure if they're a constituent or not, but if they are, then that makes it even all the more reason for her to, you know, address this question. And he's putting it forward in a perfectly fine manner. Now that the manifestos have come out, we know exactly what Labour are claiming that they're going to do in the next election, and even that falls very short of what the world's top climate scientists would advise that we do. They are absolute crap on climate.
Super wealth anyway. You're not going to invest in climate investment that is desperately needed. All of the scientists know exactly how big the challenge is, and you completely backtrack from your green investment. It lets all of us down. It lets young people like me down. And you're walking away because you'd much rather talk to the super rich who you refuse to tax than young people, wouldn't you?
They do. And they're the same as the Tories. They just want to climb that career ladder, that greasy pole. They think being a politician is all about your corporate expenses. While I'm on the subject, it's been revealed recently that Keir Starmer's accepted almost £80,000 of corporate gratuities since he became leader of the opposition. You know, that's a good few times the average salary of a full-time worker in the UK, that's for sure. And he's had everything from hospitality at football matches. He loves to go to his sporting events and get hospitality there. That's one of his favourite things to do. I think he's done it at the rugby as well. If he wasn't campaigning today, you could bet your ass he'd probably be at Wimbledon or have got some sort of box seat in Germany at the Euros at the football or something like that. I mean, you would absolutely not put that past him. And it'll be the same with Reeves. It'll be the same with Streeting. It'll be the same with all of them. Any of them. If they get through. Angela Rayner, etc. The list goes on. Since Starmer took over, Rayner's shoes have been getting a bit more expensive every, periodically. Has anyone else noticed that? And what can you say? They won't even address these emotionally put concerns from a young person on climate. You can expect a lot more of that in the next 5 years. But actually from the mainstream media as well. They're going to be so robotic and would, especially Reeves. Potentially we're going to have to sit and suffer listening to her excuses, for the next however long. God. There she is. Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's move on. How the bloody hell did that get in there? So, who could be entering number 10 in a very short period of time? I've got predictions and stuff coming up very shortly. Just another reminder of what we could be in for another 5 years of, with Keith and his merry band of neoliberals. So for some reason, on the final day of campaigning, where they needed, someone with real charm and charisma to put up some real zingers on a platform that's listened to by quite a large amount of people on LBC, and Labour go and put up Pat McFadden, who's well, I've brought Pat up before on live streams and in videos and such. This is just the latest example of why they might as well have put up, someone who'd just been woken up at some obscene hour and looks like they couldn't care less. Also putting up an absolutely dire response to the questions as well. Okay, sorry, just a brief disconnection there from the streaming software. It's back up and running. But I was just saying there that Pat couldn't say a single fucking thing about what Labour are going to be about if they win the next election, especially on equality, in reducing that poverty wealth gap, about increasing wages for the working classes, as well as putting heavier taxes, etc., on the wealthiest in society. But he couldn't even say what the plans would be about that. You also might want to switch from solidarity to solidarity coffee when it gets into this interview a bit, because Pat McFadden is almost like a cartoon character or something. There's literally, if negative enthusiasm is a thing, then Pat's certainly got that in droves. He's got buckets full of it.
It's got to be about the whole country.
Will Britain be more equal at the end of the next Parliament if there's a Labour government than at the beginning?
Well, I think you'll have to judge us then.
No, but is that your aim?
Our aim is to make sure that if we get growth, the benefits are felt in all parts of the country.
So it will be more equal. There'll be less inequality than there is now. Say less income inequality.
I would like to see rising real incomes in every part of the country, because
it's like he doesn't even know that the manifesto's out, and that well, minimum wage, for example, is just one of the many shortcomings in terms of shortening the wealth gap. Like he doesn't even know. Like he's taking a pot shot. Like, oh well, you'll have to see. Just vote, because that's just vote for a change.
Because that's the way
but
to
are you
put
bothered?
more...
But every politician always wants that. So are
Well,
you bothered about?
It's not something we've had in the last 5 years.
No, but it's still what I mean, Margaret Thatcher, for example, would not have particularly cared. She was very explicit about this in terms of the inequality between income groups and
Well,
whether
we
that
do-
growth.
we do-
So
Of course she didn't give a dusty fuck about that. She deregulated the stock market up to the fucking eyeballs. Yeah, of course. She was very clear on that. That takes us, again, back to the point that with the Tories, you know what you're getting. You know you're going to get a set of bastards. But Labour are pretending to be on your side, but are actually the wolf in sheep's clothing. And that arguably makes them even worse than the Tories.
do you want Britain to be more equal at the end of the Parliament at the beginning? Because I'm surprised that you can't just say yes, because surely that is the point of every Labour government.
Well, the point of I would say the point of a Labour government is twofold. One is to generate the wealth needed to have a strong economy, and the second is to make sure that the
Generates the wealth needed. What is that? Is that private capital wealth that he's on about? Generate the wealth. Generate the wealth. So, one thing you could do is get costs down, because poverty's a thing, and now everybody these days, for some reason, including opposition and the mainstream media, call it the cost of living crisis, when it's just pure old-fashioned poverty. Of course. And one thing you could do is raise the minimum wage as well to a decent level. They won't even say that striking junior doctors and nurses deserve, what, £15 an hour? But this is the Labour Party, founded on trade unions and socialism.
fruits of that are enjoyed by people of all income groups.
Yes.
That's what we want to do.
But surely also, I mean, Harold Wilson once famously said that the Labour Party was a moral crusade, or if it's nothing. Surely the central axis or the central axiom of that moral crusade was to lessen inequality.
Yeah.
So surely you would say today that you want to lessen inequality.
The reason I'm hesitating is you can have a massive recession and you can be more equal after it, and everybody...
You might cause a recession. There might be a recession. Is that what he's talking about? Are Labour going to... Well, obviously they're going to continue austerity. And now he's already hinting at... I mean, there's still a day to go, Pat. You do know that. They think they've already moved in. But now they're saying that there might be a recession. But they're also expecting to be in office. So is this going to be a global recession? Are you expecting another stock market bubble? Another crash? Another global Armageddon on the stock market? Or is it going to be just for the UK? Tell us what you know, Pat. Just tell us what you know.
He's poorer. Is that a good outcome?
Well, let's assume there isn't a recession. Let's assume that there is growth. Because I'm assuming you're not going to say that there's going to be a recession under a Labour government.
No.
You're going to...
I believe the very first thing that came out of his mouth was growth. And now he's turned tail. He's already U-turned once in this interview. And now he's on about a recession. Oh, you're going to get growth.
Obviate or
No, but
avert
this
that.
is
So let's
why
assume
this-
that. But it's an important discussion about principles, isn't it, Pat? Because people want to know what your priority is. So let's assume there isn't a recession, but there is growth.
The holy grail of growth, of course, this magical number on GDP, which will unlock the growth gods that have been locked away for so long and make everything right. This magic number that we must get to with capitalism. And then we'll have full employment and no homelessness. And everyone can have luxury, Oh, God. What What are they on about? What are they on about? The growth hormone. Yeah, Octomimic. They're going to be injecting the growth hormone into the country with a massive needle. That's what the needle in London's actually for. You've just actually, have we just figured it out? Have we just figured that out on the live stream? So the massive needle in London is going to be filled with the growth hormone, and Labour are going to take that. They're going to, I don't know, go somewhere in the country, turn it upside down, stick it in, and inject all that growth. But there might be a recession.
Successful in delivering that growth, will you have failed if that growth is not felt? Let's put it this way: the more of that growth does not go to the poorest income groups than the richest.
I'm not about to announce anything about the failure of a Labour government when we haven't had one for 14
But
years.
it's not. But surely people need to know what your priorities are. Surely your priorities are the poorest groups, not the richest. If you're a Labour government, surely.
It's not exactly oozing with confidence or charisma about how they're going to do, by any means. I think he's already getting his excuses in for why it's going to be more of the same. Because if there was going to be, even if there was going to be growth, which they see as the Holy Grail, like I just said, even if there is growth, then that means that there's more room for public investment, but they've said that they're not going to do that anyway. And they're saying that they won't increase taxes, hence there won't be any investment in public services either. So he's just getting his own crap excuses in while he can. And if anyone was on the fence, as a lot of people still are in this election, then listening to Pat here, you know, if anything, is just going to make you run a mile from Labour.
Of course, and the priority is to make sure that we get a stronger economy and everywhere around the country enjoys the benefits from it. And if we had a stronger economy and that wasn't the case, then that's not the outcome we want. And when we produced those mission documents about 18 months ago, that's explicitly what we said. We said we did want growth, but we didn't just want a higher rate of GDP. This had to be felt in people's pockets around.
But there is nothing to inspire the working classes really in that manifesto at all. You've got a phony attempt at public ownership of transport, which is, you don't have to do much research to realise it's absolute bollocks, and it will still be privately owned infrastructure. Thanks a lot to all of you who just joined us on the stream. Has there been a raid? Has there been a raid, comrades? Divinia Robbins, great to see you. Satnav as well. Vicky Clee, welcome to the chat. Hope you're good today. Hope you're all geared up for the ballot tomorrow. Please make sure that you do use your vote. You know, the working classes fought for that. Even if you just go down there, if you want to spoil your ballot, that's up to you. It's your vote. That's how quite a lot of people like to show their feelings in the ballot box as well. Oh, great. Yeah, thanks, Vicky. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, thanks again to No Justice. Did give a shout out to Helena earlier, but no harm in doing so again. Thanks a lot to No Justice as well. Anyone who's listening on a replay, please do check out No Justice on YouTube. I believe she also streams on Twitch. So do subscribe / check that content out as well. It's great to see you all here this evening. Those of you who don't know me, who joined me from Helena's channel, I'm Lefty, this is My Left Eye, this is the Brews at 10, where we're all here in solidarity, if you'll forgive the overused pun. But yeah, we're just chewing the could over the latest election rounds and stuff. This coma-inducing but brief clip from Pat McFadden certainly wasn't much inspiration. That's just what I was talking about when the raid came through. We also briefly took a look at how Starmer's been endorsed by The Sun. If you want to go back and watch this from the beginning after the stream, please do. And yeah, I've got my latest predictions and hopes for tomorrow. Just to point out on the channel, obviously this is politics from a left point of view with my left eye, and I'm hoping that people do share that sentiment tomorrow when they vote, either for a socialist, independent, grassroots party, the Greens, but definitely not the Tories, Labour, Lib Dem, or of course Reform, who aren't a political party. They are a private limited company, and their leader, Nigel Farage, banks at the same bank as the king, and yet he expects the common person to believe that he's on their side. So yeah, as long as there's an increase, a swing, a positive swing for the Greens and Socialists tomorrow, that is probably the best that we can hope for out of this upcoming election. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so I'm keeping my eye on a few seats tomorrow, and one of those, as we mentioned before, is North Islington. Not North Islington. Haha. Holborn St Pancras. That's Keith's seat. But Andrew Feinstein's been putting up a wonderful campaign, and he's had some endorsements from some pretty well-known figures as well. Whether Labour get a majority tomorrow or not, I think it would be great to see Andrew Feinstein prevail, succeed. So I'll just, show you the latest from his campaign video.
Vote for Andrew Feinstein.
Vote for Andrew Feinstein.
Vote Feinstein.
Vote for Andrew Feinstein this Thursday.
Keir Starmer has lied, and lied again.
Andrew Feinstein has more integrity in his little finger than Keir Starmer has shown in the entirety of his political career.
And definitely it will prioritize the citizens instead of bankers and institutions.
It's a very stark choice.
Everything that he stands for is everything that I feel strongly about.
He'll be the man for you to save the NHS.
This is a huge gift to give the people of Holborn and St Pancras.
They can vote for a man who was prepared to lie to win the leadership of the Labour Party, or a man with a history of standing up for the oppressed.
We need independent MPs to hold the Labour Party to account.
Politicians like Keir Starmer deserve somebody like Andrew Feinstein to call them out.
We need somebody like Andrew to stand for our values.
I'm supporting Andrew Feinstein. I'm also definitely supporting Andrew Feinstein.
On the 4th of July.
Vote for Andrew Feinstein.
And get rid of Starmer.
Well, quite a few well-known faces in that one, weren't there? Roger Waters, Loki, great endorsements there. I can't wait to find out what happens in that one. Really. I'm not sure what the latest polling is, but hoping I'm going to find that one out in real time tomorrow. All right, just a quick reminder, please do hit the subscribe button to join in the chat. Please do hit the thumbs up, help the stream reach a wider audience. Please also do consider joining the channel. You can do so for just 99p. There's some great perks to enjoy. Or if you're watching on a replay, please do consider using Super Thanks or the Buy Me a Coffee page. Links for that are in the channel description, as well as for the channel as well. Okay, so getting into prediction time now. Predictions. I've made my final 5 selection for seats that I'm expecting the Greens to win. And we were just saying earlier that hopefully it'll be more than 5. And I guess the same goes for socialist independents as well, and grassroots parties. So these are the 5. I'm going to quickly go through those now, as well as the latest hot seats and hot questions that are going to be getting answered as this campaign comes to a close and we get to the ballot tomorrow. All right, so these are the 5. Green seats, question mark. Brighton, it's Brighton and Hove, I believe, the actual seat, the one that they currently have. It only took 900 and odd thousand votes for them to get that one. Isn't first past the post. Absolutely fantastic. Bristol Central, of course, that's the one that Carla Denya's standing in, I believe, but by projections, it does look expected to go to the Greens. I mentioned Birkenhead earlier. They do look to be taking on Labour and doing very well there in Birkenhead, just about edging in front. Some of these seats they could win by quite a margin. Others are going to be pretty close, pretty close. North Hereford as well, I mentioned that on a recent stream. Just to have a quick look at the polls for some of these. I normally take polls with a pinch of salt. I should really say that, should really point that out. What have we got here? So that's for Birkenhead. Oh, just adjust the... So these are projected results, are very close, 38 to 36% between the Greens and Labour. It's a 2-horse race there, clearly. Lib Dem 14, Tories on 7, 5% for the others. So just a quick reminder about that one. I think I've got North Herefordshire here. That one is looking like it could be an absolute trouncing for the Greens over the Tories. 39 to 28%. Look at the swing there. Touched on this briefly a few streams or so ago, but almost all of the votes lost by the Tories have been lapped up by the Greens there. Very few going to Reform, which is good to see, and Labour have only taken 1.6% of those votes that have gone from the Tories. Definitely one to watch. Well, I say that, it isn't actually on the one to watch list, but definitely one to be hopeful for. Waveney Valley as well. This one slightly closer. 33 to 28%, but that's against the Reform Party. This is one where we've seen apparently actual swings towards Reform from Tory losses, but the Greens have come in like some sort of fucking superhero from the sky and come to the rescue with them taking up 33% of the vote. So that's the final of the 5. I think there could be more. Yeah, Satnav. Hoping for a green surge. Definitely. Octomimic, you wish you were bald because your hair grows like Sunak's bank balance. Wow, you must be tripping over your hair. If that's the case. Vicky, are people projecting based on the councils? See many canvasser. Well, yeah, basically a lot of these projections are literally you take, obviously they're structured differently, local elections to general elections, but you try and put one set of results into a separate framework as best as you can. That's the best way I can sum it up. But it just sort of, shows public opinion, and we've seen a lot recently with local and general elections that the polling has been pretty far from what's actually gone on. Especially with, you know, the 2017 general elections, a good example of that, and the recent local elections where they said that, you know, Starmer was going to walk it, but most of the gains came from the Greens and independent candidates. Hoping that happens tomorrow as well. If there are any others that you think, you know, you want to have a shout out, if you think that they're going to win somewhere else apart from the ones on these lists, please do let me know. Right, hot seats, the ones to watch. This is the updated list, just again, very quickly. Have made a couple of adjustments. So the latest of those, I've put North Durham on, you can see at the bottom there. That's where Luke Akehurst is hoping to win. For Labour, let's please hope to God that he is unsuccessful and that they tell him to piss off. He's another one who's been parachuted in, where there's been a deselected candidate, which is, of course, it's an affront to party democracy. Why would anyone bother paying into a party that won't even listen to them, won't even consider their vote, their opinion, when Starmer just dictatorially does whatever he wants and puts in whoever he wants, as do the NEC. You're thinking Isle of Wight East, Vicky? Is that for a Green seat? I'll be honest, that's not one that's come into my purview recently, but I might still have some time to check that one out between now and the live stream tomorrow. God, if only they could, you know. That's just aspiration, but a foot in the door this time around, you know, because you're going to have to look at this on a macro scale now, just as 5 years ago, when those results came in, I had a pretty bad feeling that we'd be up the Swanee for at least another decade. Turns out it was right then. But this time, it's about building a base to grow on, because the rise of the far right across Europe and what we've been through with the right wing in this country for the last 14 years as well is particularly worrying. And that'll only be perpetuated with Labour, Lib Dem, of course. I think Lib Dem are going to pick up quite a few seats as well. I still think that they're going to have more than Reform, despite the hype, and apparently in the national poll, Reform have been just slightly in front of Lib Dem. But that brings me on to the hot questions. So I'll just quickly go over the other hot seats as well. So Chingford and Woodford Green, I hope Faiza Shaheen wins there as an independent. Again, another parachute job. Bristol Central, want the Greens to win that. Obviously, that's on the list. Islington North, Jeremy Corbyn, of course. Ilford North, Wesley's seat. Let's hope that Wesley gets shut up once and for all. Rochdale, I just think it'd be interesting to see if Workers' Party of Britain retain that one seat that they've got with Galloway. Palestine's obviously an issue that's in the forefront of a lot of people's minds when they vote, which brings me on to Holborn and St Pancras, because the aforementioned Feinstein is part of the No Ceasefire, No Vote campaign as well. Let's hope that Keith falls short, whether Labour are victorious or not. Birkenhead, again, we went into that on the Green Party list, hoping they're going to win. Clacton is Nigel Farage's seat. We do want Reform to be kept out. I did say in my early predictions video that I thought that they were going to win 0 seats, and that's why Clacton's on there. If they are going to win 1 or 2, then you'd expect that Clacton would be one of them. However, I'm hoping that history repeats itself and Farage, on his 8th attempt, falls short of winning a seat in Clacton. And then we just talked about North Durham. So what I'll be doing on the live streams tomorrow, I'll have a sort of chart, as you will. We'll be ticking things off, seeing how things go. So I'll be putting my hopes / expectations against what's actually happening. We'll just see how accurate these predictions might be. These are the hot questions. Will the Tories lose 150 plus seats? I think that's very likely. So my prediction, I'm going to give a prediction to every hot question, and then we'll see. I want to know your opinions as well. There've been so many polls and so on and so forth. I think it was on Radio 4 earlier, just briefly. I was listening and I heard that one poll had said that the Tories would be left with about 70 seats or something thereabouts, which I'm not too sure about, but I think definitely a yes for 150. It's the word the seats are going to go is the essence of the question. 300, you think, Davinia? 300. Let's turn into an auction. We have 300 from Davinia at the back. Any advance on 300? So, next question. Will Lib Dem become the main opposition party? I spelled opposition wrong there. Apologies. I've always just noticed that. Yeah, missed out on all. I will adjust that before the live stream tomorrow. Apologies. I'm in a rush sometimes when I do these things. Yeah, I think they possibly could be. That also, yeah, could be a factor in the final question, though, which I'll come on to shortly. But I think that they could possibly be the main opposition party in England. See, here's the thing. There could be a hung parliament, which I'll come on to in a bit. There might not be. These sort of two things may or may not affect each other. That's all I'll say just for now. But will the SNP gain or lose seats? I think they'll lose seats, but keep a majority. You know, John Swinney, he's only been leader of the SNP for, 8 weeks? You know, 2 months, just 2 months. So he spent most of his time as leader actually campaigning for the SNP. We don't really know that much about him. You know, he's not had any time to get into leading the party other than campaigning. I don't think Labour are going to make the sort of swings that they did in the 97 election in Scotland, that's for sure. But they might make a good few gains, but not enough to get a majority in Scotland. And the main things the SNP are pushing for, of course, as always, are to leave the Union, but also strong emphasis on rejoining the EU coming from the SNP at the moment. So, yeah. That's what I think about that one. Lose seats, but still hold on to a majority. So, will there be a hung parliament? Okay, here's the thing. If enough voters decide to vote Lib Dem instead of the Tories, then yes, I think there will be a hung parliament. That obviously will hold Labour back as well. Talking a hung parliament between the Tories and the Labour, that's the main question. And also, if there are enough gains for Socialists and the Green Party. Am I ruling it out? No, not 100%. The word supermajority is being thrown around. And like I said, that other poll mentioned perhaps only 70 seats for the Tories. But I think there will either be a hung parliament or there will be a small majority for Labour. Do I expect the Tories to hold on, to cling on? I don't think so. Not with the level of defeatism I saw from a brief clip of Sunak earlier, when it was basically like, well, we know we're going to get beaten, but please don't beat us, you know, too much, too hard. Almost like they were begging the school bully or something. Of course, they're all Etonians, so they're probably used to all that kind of stuff. Not that they aren't bullies themselves in the social economic sense, of course. So those are the hot questions at the moment. And we'll be getting them answered tomorrow. Yeah, this time tomorrow we'll know what the exit poll's going to be saying. Will the polls be right? Will there be another 2017-y moment where it's just completely against expectations? Of course, the same thing in 2019. They were neck and neck in a lot of the polls. And then the Tories ended up with an 80-seat majority, which got whittled down, of course. A few defections in there. Quite a few of them had to quit. So yeah, that's as it stands. We'll be catching up with some answers on that tomorrow. I'll be bringing things to a close just shortly, but I do want to give a massive shout out to all of the members on the channel, as usual, before I do. Just to remind you that you can join this list of fantastic, wonderful people with a membership for just 99p, and do check out the perks. If you're watching on a replay as well, please do consider supporting the channel in that way, as well as super thanks and the Buy Me a Coffee page, which is available in the channel description. So, this is the latest list, and my humble thanks to all of you. See, we've got quite a few members in the chat this evening as well. It's always fantastic to have you here and see you back. Hope you're having a good week so far. We'll see how it's going to come to a close tomorrow. So just a reminder, I'm going to be on again about 9:45 to get ready for the exit poll. And then a bit of chat about that. I'll have a little bit of a break. And then when the actual results start to come in, we'll be checking that out live with analysis as well. Also another hottish question, lukewarm question. Will Newcastle or Sunderland declare first? Because they always have this sort of race going on, don't they? And that'll be going on until we get the actual result itself in the wee small hours. Probably going on until the early hours of the morning. The only time I've done that before was in the Rochdale by-election. But this one could go on even longer. Who knows? Who knows? Just looking at the chat as well. Thanks a lot for pointing that out, Vicky. Helen is doing 24-hour stream from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. Wow, that's incredible. What a marathon. I mean, I'll be having a couple of little breaks, but that's quite commendable. 24 hours. So yeah, there could be some overlapping between a few channels. I'll be honest. Yeah, that's just something to look out for. Thanks a lot for the heads up there. Davinia thinks Newcastle will win the first declaration race. It's a 50-50. Will they, won't they? Octomimic thinks Sunderland. Come on, you Mackhams. Oh, Wondergupta, what's your thoughts on that as well? I know that you might have something to say about that one. Okay, everyone. I'm going to end it there, but please do join me tomorrow. I'll be putting a link out on the community page, as well as on Twitter. Please do give us a follow on Twitter as well. I still call it Twitter, and I would die on this hill. It's been fantastic to see you all this evening. Thanks again to No Justice as well for the shout-outs, for the raid, I should say. And great to have you people over from Helena's No Justice. Right, it's going to be a long one tomorrow night, so I'm going to go and get some rest. And until next time, everybody, take care. My Lefty, I'll be seeing you soon. Just pop the kettle on one last time.